Three Grots in a Vox is intended for a mature audience. This means there will be crude language and discussions of adult themes, especially if we're talking about tactical marines or Gabriel's Seth. Viewer discretion is not only advised but encouraged. All opinions are our own and often given for humorous purposes. Any advice is given largely for entertainment purposes and would probably be ignored. But if you do learn something useful, count it as a win.
Counting down, or is there actually a point to that countdown?
There was a point to a countdown. We are now live. It was seamless.
I thought we were like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So. As we had a discussion about what the difference between emos, alt rocks, and goths are.
Yeah.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Please give us a shout out. What? I needed to check the audio. I have a new microphone, so I don't know if I'm
He's
live
very proud of.
or quieter than Tony. Actually, this new microphone's been a fucking nightmare. But that's neither here nor there, I guess.
Okay.
Tony needs to come round to my house and help me set up some microphone. So I don't know who's loud and who's quiet. But good evening to everybody in chat. If there is audio differences between us, please tell me and I will try and fix it.
This is our usual highly polished, well thought out, well planned out streams where we've set up the audio levels before we started.
Yeah.
I mean, I did do a quick test. But, I mean, you guys like making fun of me whether or not I would done a test anyway, so let's be real.
That's
Well, we
weird.
just make fun of you regardless. It's not.
I can see you, Tony, on the screen we're all talking on, but on the see you've just appeared again. It's buffering out and showing IDs and names and stuff on the YouTube.
Yeah,
That's
the
weird.
call isn't working so well tonight, but we can hear you. Someone says a touch louder, John. I'm quiet, or I'm a touch louder than them? That didn't help at all, but thanks for the comment, Eternal Crusader.
In order to be more well heard, you need to speak louder and slower. As if we're
Cool.
deaf old people or something. I don't know.
I was thinking it was a Red Dwarf reference, because that's usually where we end up going with.
No, I couldn't think
What,
of no
World of
Red
Warcraft?
Dwarf reference.
No, Red Dwarf.
Oh, I do like a bit Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
Everybody's dead, Dave.
Everybody is dead, Dave.
Wait a sec.
I think
Are
we
you
just
trying to tell me everybody's
I'll tell you-
dead?
If you don't mind, I'm going to very quickly log out and log back in again and just see if it works a bit better.
I think it's just Google Meet and being shit, honestly. But you could try that, by all means.
You could be a touch louder, John.
Okay.
Apparently.
Apparently, I am quiet. Wow. I was convinced it would be the other way. Okay, cool. I will be 2 decibels louder. Tell me if that's better.
Ooh, I can't notice any difference personally.
Yeah, I mean, it'll just be for the stream, I guess. So what,
fair enough.
tell me about your, you were at a Star Wars tournament this last week, Mark, or something.
I was at a store showdown tournament at my local store this Sunday just gone. There was 15 people out of a cap of 32. And it was fun, and I came second out of 4 rounds of play. I went 3-1, which was nice.
It's the second time you've come second at one of these Star Wars events, is it?
Oh yeah, but the other time was out of 100 players, so it was a little bit more prestigious in a way, I suppose, and a bit more of an achievement doing so out of 7 rounds rather than 4.
I guess second is
but
still second, though, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm going to another one Saturday, 2 days from now.
Oh, cool.
At Nottingham, which is a planetary qualifier, which is like the biggest level of.
Oh, that's going to be a big event
so far. It's sold out, and it's 128 players.
Oh, cool. Well, good luck. I'm going to GT next weekend.
Very nice.
So that's why I'm painting a Scout with a missile launcher, because surprisingly, I do not own a Scout with a missile launcher.
That is a bit surprising, I must confess.
Used to run Scouts with shotguns, so I have a lot with shotguns, and then I used to run Scouts with knives, but I've never had.
When the Codex came around for 10th Ed, I converted all my old Scouts that I had like 30 of kicking around from yonks ago, and now they're good again. And my standard loadout for a Scout squad is 1 sniper rifle, 1 missile launcher, a shotgun on the sergeant, and 2 bolters on the other guys, I think.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I guess Games Workshop are forever changing what's good in loadouts, aren't they? So,
Yeah.
I think I had my scouts all armed with shotguns, and then I had them all armed with knives. I actually don't like the sniper rifle in the scout, but that's personal preference.
I mean, the way I figure it is if they're going to come on the board somewhere and do an action monkey thing,
Yeah.
and you want them to survive, then you come on the board somewhere away from everybody else, and you've got a sniper rifle and a rocket launcher that can shoot at a decent range and maybe plink a wound or two or something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've got a whole squad of scouts made with sniper rifles from like 3 editions ago or something. But yeah, I've always found like the single sniper rifle. It's like you either fail to hit or you fail to wound, or they pass. And just
I don't expect it to do anything.
No.
It'd just be nice if it did once a game or something.
Yeah, maybe that's my problem. I hope it will do something and it never does, and then I'm like, you useless sniper rifle. What are you even doing in this squad?
Sniper rifles are almost as controversial as aircraft in the game. Do they actually want them to do anything from month to month, edition to edition?
Yeah. So, the loose title of the stream was to talk about some hobby goals.
Yeah. Which ties in with a Patreon request that we had.
Yeah. And I'll give Tony a few minutes to get back. I guess he was having connection issues if he's not back yet.
He's almost certainly gone off to deal with a vomiting child or something along those lines. Hey, Tony.
All right, sorry about that. I was just trying to get relogged in. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit more stable now.
Fair
no
enough.
problem. I was going to say, as you say that, Mark disappears with connection issues.
Yeah, no.
But I think it's probably just Google. Yeah, it's most likely Google Meet just being utter dog shit. It does that.
I was going to set up a top-down cam that we've used for Star Wars games, and I've got a big roses tin full of old miniatures from my childhood, just sort of down there-ish, that I retrieved from my mum's house, full of old shit. And I was going to just go through it on the stream and unpack all the crap from it, but the turns out that my camera had died. My old phone that I was using as a top-down camera had died. I didn't have time to set it up again, so that's a shame.
Oh, we'll try next time. I do love a big pile of old random shit.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not going to say what's in it because there's some weird crap in there. I think only about half of it is Games Workshop, and the rest of it is just like random games I had when I was a kid.
Sort of like Reaper-y stuff, D&D, or
some of them were that. Some of them were like an old sci-fi game called Warzone, I think it was, that I liked at the time because they had weird samurai with machine guns and stuff going on, and it was all very strange. I barely remember. It was like 30 years ago.
I was going to say, what year was that Warzone? I've never heard of it, I don't think.
That would have been in the 90s.
Cool. So we got that to look forward to in a future stream, huh? It's always nice when you find some old models.
Look forward to, yeah, exactly.
I'm actually Googling this at the moment, trying to find this.
This Warzone game?
Yeah.
Oh, Christ. We have to do the same thing now. See if it actually even exists. Warzone miniatures game. War game. Warzone is a tabletop miniature war game based on the Mutant Chronicles universe and role-playing game.
What year was
that? Yeah, that was the one.
And you found it?
I found its Wikipedia page. It hasn't got any pictures on it.
Is it this one?
Maybe. Yeah, that looks like it might well have been that one.
They definitely don't look like copyrighted Space Marines or anything like that at all, do they?
Oh, yeah, they're totally like that, and you got like World War II soldiers with jetpacks and bombs flying around and all sorts of weirdness. It was a very strange game.
Yeah, speaking of Warhammer, Intercessors now getting 20 shots.
Well, they're shit shots.
I guess they're pretty average, yeah. Are they worth anything to you?
So, I've got a real thing for
How many intercessors?
5 get 20 shots now.
20 shots now. Yeah,
Oh, 20 shots for 5. That's...
it's a lot of random pointless fire, and it has got its place against some armies. That's quite powerful. But I think I'm the only person that didn't like the buff that heavy intercessors got.
I didn't like it much either. I liked how their points costs were reasonably low, and now they're expensive.
Yeah, when they were 95 points or whatever they were, the shots weren't quite as good. But actually, because they get like 3 or 4 shots each already anyway.
Yeah, and I thought they were ridiculously tanky actually for 95 points.
Yeah, so I think they were better before they were buffed because they were cheaper.
Mm.
But I just generally prefer heavy intercessors. At the moment, I'm going through a phase of I don't like anything that's strength 4.
Yeah, strength 4 is kind of garbage these days, I must admit.
So minimum of strength 5.
It
really,
always
I'm
has
looking
been
to kind
unless
of
you're
like a bit
shooting
higher than that.
guard infantry or Eldar infantry.
Oh,
Yeah.
you don't mean strength 4, you mean toughness 4, right?
I mean, kind of both, to be honest.
Okay.
Tony,
But the thing about strength 4
Tony,
is...
what are you drinking?
Oh, Hazy Jane.
Oh, it's still the brew dog. You didn't have time to get anything better.
No, I don't mind. It's all right.
Yeah, I don't mind brew dog.
I've just noticed that lately when I've been playing an awful lot of toughness 10 stuff.
Yeah. And strength 4 is garbage and toughness 10.
There's a lot of toughness 10 stuff. There's a lot of toughness. So because there's a lot of toughness 9, 10, 11 around, I just don't rate strength 4. I don't rate anything that's I don't rate strength 4 at all because you wounding on 6s makes it pointless.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
There's very little disadvantage to not taking high toughness armor and vehicles, really, because you'd think that there should be a counterbalance to infantry, which in theory would be the levels of OC to balance it out. But you just kill the little shit, and
yeah, it's why I don't like Blade Guard at the moment, because I don't think Blade Guard hit high enough. I think that the drop in strength from Blade Guard to Terminators to Blade Guard makes a big difference when there's so much toughness 10 running around.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's kind of probably why the Blade Guard kind of have to have the chaplain if you're going to run them.
But even with the chaplain, if you're smacking into something that's toughness 10, there's a big difference between wounding something on a 4 and wounding something on a 5.
Yeah.
The +1 to wound as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm still running Blade Guard, but I hear what you're saying.
Anything less than toughness 10, then your Blade Guard are going to be better. So it's really going to depend on your meta.
Yeah.
But where I play at the moment, I just seem to be running into toughness 10 tanks and crap like that, and dreadnoughts and all this sorts of thing so regularly that particular profile just feels more important.
I did find myself umming and ahhing a lot over the last month or two of Christmas and thinking forward and games and stuff as to whether or not I want to buy. Well, no, I want to buy. Just pulling the trigger on buying a pair of Gladiator tanks.
Do you have any Gladiator tanks?
Nope.
Nope.
So I'd build them as
Lancers.
Lancers right? / in pulsers. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's the way to do it, I guess. So you get 4 tanks for the price of 2.
But I found myself hesitant to actually go ahead with it on the basis of A, how much am I actually going to play with them, and B, do I want to save some money for the Eldar Codex and miniatures launch that's coming out?
Yeah, they do look very nice. I only own 1 Gladiator tank. I
mean, I only got my second in like December, I think, and I've never fielded 2 of them in a list yet.
Yeah,
I tend to be honest, run the 2 Vindicators more or less as a staple, but often 2 Vindicators and a Ballistas I quite like.
I find myself thinking about and being tempted to sell the 1 Vindicator that I do have now before it gets too close to the end of 10th edition, and then the 11th edition comes along and they get squatted. Yeah, which isn't confirmed, but I'm acting as if it is.
See, I find myself going on and looking at buying myself a 3rd Vindicator.
Your one?
I tend to proxy my laser destroyer as a 3rd one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm driving over your way in a couple of months for my usual
holiday.
For my usual WoW Guildmeet holiday, so I'll bring you Vindicator.
There you go.
Use it.
Let's see what else is happening in chat. Espana says Thunderstrike is an auto take in all Space Marine lists.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Thunderstrike.
That's
the Thunderstrike special rule.
Is that the +1 to wound one?
It's
'Cause I can never
+1
keep
to
them
wound
straight in my
monsters
head.
and vehicles. Yeah.
I can see why you'd think that, but I disagree. Largely because I dislike those speeder chassis models intensely.
I do think there's certain lists that do really well with it. Like I know Miles is building a Dark Angels list now, and he bought 3 Thunderstrikes.
Gents, is it possible to get more thumbs up, please, everyone? Hey!
Yeah, Tom, give us more thumbs up. I think he means more likes on the stream.
Yeah, I know,
people do that as well, please. We do appreciate that.
That would be awesome. I've got one last big buy to get for my Dark Angels. Then that's me saving all the way to the Empress Shudder. What is that last thing you have to buy for your Dark Angels?
Yeah, what is the big buy for the Dark Angels?
Is it Lionel Johnson? And if not, and you don't have him already, why isn't it not Lionel Johnson?
It is a cool model, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Fulgrim? He's a cool model. What did you think of him?
I don't mind him. I know a lot of people are hating on him. I do prefer the 30k one, but I think that's pretty standard for all of the 30k Primarchs.
I think they're both good. I mean, the 30k Gilliman looked classically Roman leadery, and then the 40k Gilliman came out and everybody went, "Ugh, it looks awful, blur, it looks horribly out of scale. What are we doing with this? This looks bullshit." Nah. And then you see it in person, and it's all right.
I don't mind the 40k. I don't mind the 40k Gilliman at all. I don't mind the new Fulgrim 40k model. I think they're all right, but I like the. Just from a painting point of view, I prefer the Forge World resin models. I find the details a little bit finer. They're not quite as chunky as the plastic.
Okay.
And I just like to paint them a little bit more.
That's fair
but
enough.
There's, I think I quite like those new faces. I love the giggly face for the new Fulgrim.
Yeah.
It does look quite fun.
He did look a bit silly, but also fun, yeah.
But I kind of like that for that character, because Fulgrim is a petulant, silly sort of thing, you know.
So they've rushed, or not rushed, but they've proceeded with haste to do the Demon Primarchs far more quickly than they have done Loyalist Primarchs.
Excuse me.
To the point where this will now be the 4th Demon Primarch out and about, the classic 4th one. Do you think they might continue doing more Chaos Demon Primarchs?
It's not that quick though, is it?
Oh, it's the 4th one compared to 2 Loyalist ones. Is more
compared to the Loyalist ones. But then let's be honest, all the Loyalist ones are either missing or dead anyway.
When did
the Chaos ones were all in the lore, they were still fighting. So unlike the Loyalist ones, they've got to come up with some complicated reason to dig them out. All of the Chaos ones are still around.
I mean, they don't need to come up with a complicated lore reason so much as here's a cool model, let's make up a lore reason, just like we did everything else.
But,
yeah, I mean, there is that. Here's a question for you though. Like, when did Mortarion actually come out? Because he was the first Chaos one, right?
He was, yeah. He came out with 8th. Did he come out at the end of 7th edition? I want to say.
Wasn't Magnus the first one?
Oh, maybe Magnus.
Could have been.
So, like, how many years has it taken to give us 4 back? I guess is my question.
Yeah.
Someone in chat's probably going to be telling us.
I'm going to work this out now. So
I think it was Magnus, Gilliman, Mortarion, Angron, Lion.
So Angron came out at the end of 9th, right? Because the World Eaters got their codex right at the end of 9th.
Yeah, which was Lion came out a couple of months later during the same event with the whole Arcs of Omen bullshit stuff.
Yeah, so he came out. So Angron and Lion both came out basically the end of 9th.
Yeah.
And then
I remember because Magnus was the first model that GW did their policy change for, whereby somebody'd taken a potato can picture of it and got on the internet. And previously, GW had been following a policy of, we're not going to admit that leaks even exist. We're not going to do anything whatsoever. And it was the first one where they went, well, you've got this picture of it. Here's a really good picture. We're going to control the narrative. We're going to show you this awesome new model that we're now not going to release for another year.
Well, I mean, leaks do get people excited. I mean, like...
It's like when Dante leaked and they then showed the picture of Dante.
Like
having
the very
that
next day,
policy, keeping the news within their control, I think is a very, very good policy change. I'm glad they do it.
Okay, so Magnus came out in 2016.
So Mortarion was maybe a bit later. Maybe I'm remembering wrong with Mortarion.
Guilliman was the launch of the Primaris Marines, whichever edition that was.
Well, I think he was with the kind of
Dark
I
Imperium?
think it was 8th, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Dark Imperium. I think you're right. That would have been 8th edition, so...
When the Cadian Gate got blown up and Abaddon did his thing.
So, yeah, Mortarion was 2017. So you are
That's
right.
when the Inari came along as well, wasn't
Magnus
it?
was before Mortarion. And then there was a big old gap until we got Angron a couple of years ago. And then now up to Guilliman release.
So realistically, who are, assuming that they don't bring anyone back from who's been confirmed to be dead, who are the remaining loyalist Primarchs that could be? So there's...
Well, you say if you're saying could be, Sanguinius could be.
No, he's dead.
He could be.
No,
There's all sorts of complicated reasons, but some of them are easier to bring back than others. So...
I preface that with confirmed dead. So it's not going to be Sanguinius, and it's not going to be the guy who got his head bashed in by Ferrus Manus. That's right. So not going to be him.
I like to think of it an ease of bringing back. So the Lion was really easy to bring back because he was asleep on the rock.
And that's been seeded for ages, same as Guilliman.
So other ones that are confirmed just hiding, you've got Lemon Russ, who wandered off into the warp with Constantin Valdor to go and try and find a cure for the Emperor. So he's not dead, he just wandered into the warp.
Vulcan is literally immortal and was last seen during the whole Beast storyline with the Orcs following
so
Horus Heresy.
He fell with the Beast into the heart of a Gargant when it all exploded and took the Beast with him, and then we haven't seen him since.
So he'll be around somewhere because he's Vulcan. Dawn?
Sorry?
Where's Dawn?
Now, Dawn, during the scouring kind of period, was ambushed in by the Iron Warriors.
Right.
They never found a body. They just found his hand inside his plain glove. And the Imperial Fists have still got his skeletal hand somewhere. So he's just went missing, lost his hand.
Right, okay. Who's next? Jagatai Khan.
The Khan was lost in the webway. He followed a band of Eldar pirates through a webway gate which closed behind him.
Okay, so he could easily wander back in quite happily.
Absolutely.
No fucks given. And next is Corvus Corax.
Corvus Corax is haunting in his weird bird demon form because he embraced the demon side of his Primarchness, became a kind of demon, raven, and is flitting around outside the big tower that Lorgar's hiding in.
Where was that covered? I don't remember that.
So we're still talking post-scouring kind of period. So you know all the Primarchs have got some level of demonic power.
Yeah, right? That's part of the whole.
That's part of the whole making a Primarch.
Shit. Yeah.
Well, Corvus wouldn't forgive Lorgar for being a twat.
Yeah, that's fair.
So embraced his, because he could bring shadows around him, sort of go into the darkness, couldn't he? But he kind of embraced that warp side of his nature and becomes
fair enough.
And becomes kind of like a raven monster. And he's supposed to be hovering outside the big tower. That's why we don't see Lorgar, because Lorgar can't come out because Corvus Corax is standing out there waiting to peck his eyes out.
Okay.
So those are kind of tied up together.
Other traitor ones we could potentially see could be Perturabo.
Perturabo is just hanging around in the Eye of Terror, ruling over a world at the moment. He can pop up anytime he feels like it.
Lorgar, but he's a giant pussy, so...
Lorgar's a giant pussy, and he doesn't want to come out of his tower because Corax is going to peck his eyes out.
Yeah. Kurz is documented to have been killed by an Imperial assassin. I mean, there's a book in which he dies and all that. The assassin kills him, but I'm still not entirely taking that as gospel, because
the thing with the death of Nighthaunt, the Nighthaunt wanted to die, so let the assassin kill him.
Yeah, and the justification and reason why he wanted to die was quite cool, the way they wrote it up.
Yeah,
So
I think it was a cool ending for him. I think it's a bit like Sanguinius. Yeah, you could bring him back, but I don't think they should.
And the last one is either Alfarius or Omegon.
Well, one
Or
of the
both.
two twins was killed by Dawn on Pluto. The other one wasn't. So we've got half of the pairing still floating around somewhere, but we don't know who they are because they're not much bigger than a standard Space Marine, and they tend to flit in. But they are confirmed about.
So
popping up every now
the
and then.
biggest name Primarch left to come out realistically, if they follow this sort of route, is gotta be Russ, I'd say.
I think Russ is probably the easiest one. Now, he does tie in quite closely with his brother or brother-in-arms, Constantin Valdor, because, of course, they both wield their two spears, and they took their spears with them.
Well,
on
the basis that it's an army with a codex, Space Wolves.
Well, I was more doing it from a fluffy point of view. Of
Okay, yeah,
he's hanging out in the warp, in the Eye of Terror with Valdor, trying to find a cure for the Emperor. Valdor's popped up recently.
Yeah.
So there's a good chance his buddy who's with him pops up.
Fair enough. Honestly, I thought we were getting Russ years ago when we got the Wolfen back, but it never materialised, so I'm not entirely sure what happened there, to be honest.
I never really liked Russ anyway. It's a bit of just my feelings towards Space Wolves is space arseholes. But that's mostly because of the fluff, especially in the Horus Heresy. Yeah. They come across as so wildly unlikable.
Yeah, well, they're just like executioners, aren't they?
But they're just not very nice. Like unnecessary dick. So half the time you've got Russ running around just being an arsehole for the sake of it.
Whereas Space Vikings enjoying a drink and going out for a fight is kind of cool.
That was kind of cool, but it just became Wolfie. Russ. It's a bit like I love the World Eaters, but Angron's a knob.
Yeah.
Or I love the Iron Warriors, but Purty's a knob. The whole desolation of your own thing. It's pointless.
Nobody likes the Word Bearers, and Lorcar is also.
Nobody likes Word Bearers. So it's kind of like Space Wolves could be quite cool despite their Primarch.
Yeah.
Like World Eaters, if you just Angron can do one and then just run it with Khan. Khan's cool. He can run the World Eaters.
That demon they did in the Arcs of Omen, he kind of like turned up and did nothing really, didn't he?
Vastor.
Yeah, that guy.
So Vastor the Archiphane I'm a little bit disappointed with that because I really thought they were going to use him as
Dark Mechanicum,
an entry point for the Dark Mechanicus, and they haven't really. He just sort of pops up in 40k. He's not in. I feel like they're trying to shoehorn him in a little bit more importantly, just because they wanted a new Chaos God sort of thing. But his fluff's a bit undeveloped. And
I was going to say you barely see him on the table as well. Like I've played a lot of demon players that they don't often include him because his rules were so like edgy. Like they worked for like certain vehicles or demon engines, wasn't it?
And just that style of building an army doesn't work.
I'll tell you who I would like to see get a 40k model that I think would really shake things up and potentially create a lot of story points and bits of narrative that could go somewhere interesting. And that'd be Erebus.
Is Erebus dead?
I don't know. I'm fairly sure he became a demon of some kind, but he was never a Primarch, so he never really quite got the same level of attention.
Well, that's because he's a dick. Everybody hates Erebus.
But he's more dangerous than Lorgar.
Well, yeah, he was Lorgar's teacher, wasn't he?
And the instigator of all of the heresy stuff, yeah.
Do you know what I started this week in 40k related?
Go on.
Wrath of the Lost, the new Flesh Tearers novel. I'm on chapter 3, or maybe I just finished chapter 3.
Oh, okay.
I got it on Audible because I walk to work and I listen to books when I'm walking to work. And the first 3 chapters is basically just Flesh Tearers, including Seth, being angry at each other. And also being very judgy about the ones that join the Flesh Tearers that are not Firstborn. Yeah. So whoever actually wrote that novel must have actually had a bit of fun because they must have been like, I get to write a novel where it's just all these Flesh Tearers that have survived High Fleet Leviathan. And I get to just make them be dicks to, like, Primaris Marines. That's, like, the first 3 chapters. Like, spoiler, that was the first 3 chapters. But I am enjoying it, and I am going to, give it a good whirl.
So I've been listening to an audiobook over the last month or so, which is not a 40k related one. It's called Ahsoka. It is read by Ashley Eckstein, who played Ahsoka Tano in the Clone Wars and Rebels cartoon series. Her voice actually reads the novel. And it covers the story of her between the end of the Clone Wars and the start of Rebels, where she goes from having left the Jedi Order to join the Rebellion. And it's a pretty cool story.
I've read that one actually on audiobook as well. Yeah, it was good. I like it when they get the actors in to read the stories. It adds some. Yeah. And the Star Wars audiobooks are really good for putting sound effects and stuff through them. The 40k ones don't really do that. You know, the Star Wars one, if they say like we're on a windy plane or whatnot, you hear the wind and shit like that, right? Yeah. Which I think adds a lot to it, right? Like it just makes you feel like, oh, there's production value here. It's nice. So yeah, no, that was a cool story. How far into it are you?
Oh, I finished it.
Oh, you finished it? Okay.
It's good. Yeah. Cool. Since I was driving around all over the place around Christmas and periods and being ill, I played it a bunch and I finished it. And yeah, it was enjoyable. It was good.
Oh, cool.
Nice. So, Erebus is still kicking around.
Okay.
And he led a World Eaters force. Briefly, right. World Eaters? No, I might be wrong on that. He led a force in the 13th Black Crusade anyway. And he and Cor Phaeron are arguing over the leadership of the Word Bearers.
Cor Phaeron's a cool name, but he doesn't mean anything as a character, really.
He's all right. He pops up every now and again. He's got a little bit more. He's slightly more sensible than Erebus.
That's not saying very much.
It's just a bit more. To be honest, he's just a more likable character.
Fair enough.
And he's got quite a lot of father figures, kind of like dual father figures for Lorgar, which is quite interesting sort of plot line. Not as good as the whole Khan hates Erebus plot line, which is just better. There's that whole fantastic duel between Erebus and Khan, where Khan just sort of basically just goes around breaking his legs, chopping little bits off of him, and just kicking him in the face until the Chaos Gods take Erebus away so Khan can't cut his head off.
Awesome.
And he did it purely because Erebus killed his best bro.
Khan has always been a really good model for the 40k, no matter where he is and what he's doing. He's always been very dynamic and well done. So got that going for him. Khan, yeah.
Oh yeah, I've got every version of the Khan miniature.
Oh, dude, very nice.
I love him as a character. I remember in a very early White Dwarf. I want to say it was the one with the Blood Angel with was it one with the Blood Angel with the plasma cannon on the front?
Okay.
Or it was the one with the early Reaver jet bike on that blue background. It was one or the other. And there was this kind of one-page A4. He said it was like one-page A4, like bits of fluff. And it was like kill confirmed or something. And it was all about the kill counter in Khan's visor that he's had installed and how he's going to tip over to the next big number sort of thing. It was just a phenomenal. It was the edition where the new at that time Khorne Berserkers was released and the Khan model. And I remember it was so cool that I went out like immediately. I bought myself the metal Khan the Betrayer miniature.
Yeah.
And about 6 boxes of Khorne Berserkers, and that was my World Eaters armor.
So
I didn't hold anything else. I just sort of thought, well, fuck it, you lot that way, you know.
I was going to say you're very spoiled as a kid if you got 6 boxes of miniatures, man.
I was a little bit older, and
okay.
I used to chop and change a lot with armies, so I used to sell them.
You used to sell them, man. I remember one of my first boxes was that little Space Marine box where I think you only got like 3 Space Marines in it. Do you remember it was like, it wasn't even a tactical squad, it was just like a little blue box. It was maybe like $6.99 and you got 3 Marines, and it was just like...
This was also the time, if you remember, when the old regiment boxes were out, which were always a tenner.
Yep.
And it was your whole unit, wasn't it?
The box I always wanted, but never got because I was like a kid at the time. I didn't have any money, and then it got discontinued before I grew up and got to a point where I had some money. Was the old metal Terminators box where you got like 10 or 15, there might have been like 8 or 10 Terminators in there, and they had the old tiny like 28 mils, 25 mil slaughter bases or whatever the hell they were.
The 25 mil one.
They had this like bright orange coloured box, and I always wanted that, but I never got it.
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, I saw on Discord somebody like this last week got that 2nd edition Blood Angels box.
Yeah,
sealed. Did he? I replied to him and asked him how much he paid. I don't know if he replied to it, but I was like, oh my god, you got that sealed? How did you even? Like, that must have been the only one in existence.
Well, it happens occasionally.
Yeah.
You see people buying these things at like car boot sales and stuff that have just been like left untouched.
Yeah, someone's cleaning out their loft and they don't know what they have.
I kind of feel like if I don't get a move on with some of the boxes I've got here, when I die, there's going to be a load of very expensive sealed boxes of cool old miniatures that go to the car boot sale.
This just got a bit morbid.
My family will know what they're worth.
When I die, I mean, that's 50 years from now. Let's touch some wood quickly.
I could be hit by a bus tomorrow, John.
Well, let's not.
I can't imagine my wife looking at these miniatures and going, "Oh, that one's quite rare. That's probably worth a little bit more." They're all going either in the skip or on.
Yeah, leave some guidelines then, mate. Yeah, there we go.
I was going to say, you'll be like that guy trying to get his Bitcoin out of the tip or something, you know?
Yeah. Call Carter, get him over, get him to tell you what's worth money and what's not, and yeah.
Is there Valdor as the king in yellow and a counterbalance to the Space Marines could be good, says Matthew.
Yeah, I would like Valdor to come back, but not so much with the character. No, I love Valdor as a character. He's got one of the best storylines of any character in the Horus Heresy. He's such an absolute chap. He slapped down Horus, which is quite funny. But the thing is with the King in Yellow storyline is it's all about that pocket dimension and the fact that they're trying to build an army of loyalist imperial demons, and you've got winged sanguineous kind of angels flying around everywhere and bananas, all these living saints that they've been building up. So I want him to come back, not because he's cool, he is, and a nice new model would be good, because I like the 30k miniature, which face is a bit ugly, but just for what that would do for the Imperium. Yeah, that would be a huge shake-up for once. That's not Chaos doing something cool. No. We've got a whole. This was the plan that Valdor and Lemon Russ cooked up in the warp to bring the Emperor back to life. I want something like that to happen. You know, that'd be a cool new shake-up that would just completely change the storyline. So I completely agree. Bringing back, letting the King in Yellow come out, bringing Valdor back to 40k, because that would be Civil War.
Can I ask you?
That'll be a 40k Imperial Civil War. That'll be a new storyline that could do something cool. Because all the Inquisitors won't want him coming back. The King in Yellow plotline is all basically Eisenhorn fighting Valdor. So yeah, that'll be just a nice shake up to the story, and hopefully a better one than Arcs of Omen, which led to nothing, or Pariah Necklace, which led to nothing. You know?
That's what I was going.
Psychic Awakening, which led to nothing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to ask. As someone who doesn't read every novel, right? Like, I pick and choose what novels I read, and I don't always read 40k novels because, like, you guys know my English literally sucks. So, like, in the 40k novels, I'm literally getting to words that I've never even heard before, I can't pronounce, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, okay. I'll go back and read some Star Wars novels because I'm a simpleton. So, like, Arcs of Omen, Psychic Awakening, those big books with pictures, that's maybe more my jam for 40k. So, like you guys just said, like, it feels like post Arcs of Omen, like,
basically they created those bits as new theaters of war in 40k. They weren't meant to be story arcs that went anywhere and did anything and resolved. They just like opened new areas where shit's going on.
I don't entirely agree with that. They really did sell it as like Psychic Awakening. Psychers are popping up all over the Imperium. Everything's going to change.
This could change the entire makeup of the Imperium.
So they do sort of sell it as a huge galaxy shifting story arc.
Well, they want people to buy the books, don't they?
You know, and Pariah Nexus. Oh, we're gonna quell the warp or whatever it is. You know, with the Necrons and the Blackstone pylons, all that sort of stuff. And nothing happens. The
Silent King came back
coming in to take over the Imperium.
The Silent King is a bit of a big deal, to be fair, but he didn't really do anything.
But he didn't do anything.
Yeah,
I'm moment and Vashdor waking up. Or we're going to finally have some massive change. Oh no, absolutely nothing changed.
I had this theory when the Pariah Nexus stuff kicked off and the Silent King was coming back that I really liked, and I thought the Logic 4 was great, and I really, really hoped that they were going to do something with it, but it never came to anything at all whatsoever. And that theory was the idea that obviously the Silent King made his deal to the Catan, Star Gods, whatever, to give the souls of the Necrons to them to give them eternal metal bodies and all this sort of bullshit.
Yeah.
And my theory was that it was actually the Necrontyr who seeded and created the Tau as soulless biological bodies to be implanted with souls and spirits of Necrontyr.
Mhm.
And then that might kick off from there. But
I've seen that one before, and I've also seen the Eldar doing it as well, similar.
yeah, the Eldar seeding them seems a bit more of a popular
Yeah.
theory as far as I've seen. But I was kind of hoping that the Necrontyr might come back and do something with that, with the whole soulless stuff. But nah, it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, so like I guess the question is, Orcs of Omen was right at the end of 9th edition, right? So like,
yeah, each of these stories is the end of the edition, 6 months worth of fluffy bullshit that we're going to use as an excuse to throw the doors wide and to try and get you to buy books because we've run out of codexes to print. And here are a bunch of rules which are going to be useless once the new edition comes out in a couple of months' time.
yeah, and they typically at the end of the edition they remove some of the faction limitations. For example, in Orcs of Omen, you could then take Gilliman and put them in your Blood Angels, right? So like, buy some models that are not maybe your main faction, and they'll be fine to like ally
the
up.
last gasp of life for that edition.
Yeah.
And try and get you to buy some more stuff because why the hell not?
I just
Yeah,
wish
the only
we.
thing that picked them out of the Arcs of Omen stuff was boarding action, which is still brilliant.
Oh yeah, totally, completely agree.
Yeah, I mean, I was speaking to Kev today. We are going to play more boarding action this year because we played it once.
It's so much fun.
Boarding action's awesome.
Yeah. So, do you want to know a little bit about the GT I'm going to next weekend? And do you want to know who is taking a bullshit meta army?
Go on then.
Well, Mark already knows who's taking the bullshit meta army. You've got one guess, Mark, of all my friends. Who is taking a bullshit broken meta army?
Andrew.
Correct! Ding, 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 you're a winner. What's he taking?
What bullshit meta army
Is it also brand new to him and he's just bought it or printed it or whatever?
Printed it,
and
yeah.
has barely played it at all yet.
Correct, yes. Correct on all points. He has printed out 30 World Eater Terminators because World Eater Terminators can get a 5-up Feel No Pain and a -1 to shooting against them. And they have that rule when the squad loses one guy, everybody gets +1 to hit. When you go below half strength, everyone gets +1 to wound. So basically,
or something. Is this where this is coming from?
No. I asked him about like, is he taking a bullshit meta list to the tournament we're going to next weekend? And he was like, yeah, I've painted out 30 World Eater Terminators. And then he says his standard. He always goes like, didn't you know that I've always loved World Eater Terminators? I was like, you've never played World Eater Terminators in your life, but you've seen them do like really well on like Auspex Tactics, and you're like, oh shit, I want some of that. So Andrew is bringing
more power to him if he's happy doing it. Then yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So basically, his army is going to be like 30 World Eater Terminators and Angron, I think, because that must be damn near 2,000 points.
Just hate that model. I really hate that model.
Angron.
Oh yeah.
It's just this glorified bloodthirster, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I don't like it.
Oh, you wanted it to have more character or flavour?
I want to have a little bit more character. And if he's not even the best bloodthirster, because you've got like some of the 4-year-old bloodthirsters, like Scarbrand and things like that, they're good models. And they're cool bloodthirsters, whereas Angron's just a mediocre bloodthirster. He's a bloodthirster with pauldrons.
That's true, yeah.
And dreadlocks.
And dreadlocks to represent the butcher's nails order. So I just think it's a terrible model. I mean, he's a terrible character anyway, and I love the fact that Purty just absolutely rinses him for being a useless sack of shit towards the end of the Horus Heresy, which I think is quite funny, because if Perturabo is calling you a useless sack of shit, that means something.
So, sorry, Tony, here you go.
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, Matthew said in chat that one of his goals this year is to get a Blood Angels faction together for boarding actions. A Blood Angels Terminator.
Oh, good shout. Yeah, damn right.
So, I mean, we have been live for 46 minutes. Should we talk about a couple of our hobby goals, or we just...
What are you going to tell us about this GT that you're going to? What are you bringing to the GT, John?
I'm going to bring...
Greens. Eldar.
I was going to say, I'm going to bring Eldar that I've never played before, but I heard they're pretty good. No. I'm bringing a double Impulsor, Vindicator, Predator, Ballistus Dreadnought, double Sangray Guard, Scouts, Outriders, Jump Intercessors, Blood Angels list. So it's something I've practiced like 5 times. I'm not convinced it's that strong, but I kind of like to go to tournaments with lists I've practiced. So I'd rather go with something that I've practiced that I'm not 100% sure on than just be like, hey, we heard this thing's pretty good. I'll run it.
It's the base Sons of Sanguinius detachment thing.
Yeah. And
how are you finding the double Sanguinary Guard?
So I've got Dante with 6, who I'm always putting in reserve, and then I've got
Highland, we are live. Yeah.
The captain with 3, which I'm keeping on the table. I think they're good because I think Death Company are just generally pretty bad these days. Unless you run 10 Death Company with Lamartis, I think they're too expensive.
Lamartis, John? You mean Astrath, surely?
I mean, I kind of like Astrath, but I think the competitive people think Lamartis is better.
So
well, they can think what they want.
Yeah. Well, I'm not running Death Company. I don't really rate them at the moment. They're too expensive. So I went for like a small squad of Sangre Guard. The 3-man Sangre Guard squad still kills pretty effectively,
Yeah.
AP3 is useful.
AP3 is definitely useful.
But
I like my 6-man Dante. I've run that a few times. That seems to be, although I do feel sometimes that's a little bit almost overkill.
It can be, yeah. But I also find that the Sangre Guard shooting is like non-existent now.
Yeah, just ignore it.
Yeah.
How hard has the change to Armour of Contempt affected how you play?
Yeah, it's rough. Armour of Contempt's almost not worth using. Like, if you're going to get targeted by more than one thing, it's not worth using, it feels like. So
I've had a bit of fun playing the controversial, playing the Blood Angels without any Blood Angels units list.
Have you actually played that?
I like it.
I've seen a lot of people talk about it, and I thought it actually pretty strong.
People get really upset about it and how you're not supposed to use it because it's not fair and only the other chapters are supposed to use it. It doesn't make any sense to me because I like lag, and it's lag but better at the cost of I can't use Dante and the Sanguinary Guard. Well, we've already established the Death Company aren't that good.
Yes, correct.
The Death Company Dreadnought isn't that good, and Sanguinary Guard are quite good, and Dante is quite good, but they are really expensive.
Yeah.
So yeah, lag works really well with things like Jump Intercessors, Terminators, Blade Guard. We can have all of them things.
And Vindicator tanks that can get +1 to wound.
Which is always nice.
On their Strength 14 cannon is pretty nice from Oath of the Moment, right?
So I quite like running lag, but without any Blood Angels units, so I get the bonus to Oath of the Moment.
No, I think it's good. I honestly think Blood Angels are one like Sangre Guard nerf away from that would be the best way to play them, maybe.
Because I just find Sanguinary Guard, they are good, but I do think they're still a bit overcosted.
Yeah, the toughness 4 guy, 3 toughness 4 guys for 130 points is expensive.
Yeah, I like the Death Star with Dante, but you know what, I'm too cheap anyway to play expensive units.
Yeah.
I tend to just prefer more chaplains.
No, I get you. So I'm not expecting great things from my tournament attempt.
Outriders with the Outrider chaplain are pretty good at the moment as well.
How far away is it for you, John? How far do you have to drive to get there?
Like an hour and 5 minutes.
Okay,
that's not too bad. But yeah, I gave the chaplain on the bike a go. I haven't really used it in this edition with the Unit 6 Outriders.
Yeah.
That's not bad. It does hit. It's not Sanguinary Guard hard, but it still hits pretty hard with their their buffs.
And volume of attacks. Yeah,
volume of attacks +1 to wound.
And the chaplain himself becomes 3 damage, right? When he gets.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I would like to try that. I would like to try what you're saying. Do a Blood Angels army with no Blood Angels models and take the Oath of the Moment buff. And I think you're right. I think you could make it totally viable, or totally.
I don't know if it's the optimal way to play but I don't think it's a bad way to play. And like I say, the chaplain with the bikes, that's a cheap unit for how much damage it can put out. The problem with it is because of that relatively low strength and low AP, it can be fairly useless into some opponents.
Yeah, it's not the great into Terminators or that, like, is it?
Or anything with 2-up armor saves or going into knights and things like that. It can be.
Yeah.
So
and if you want the flavour of the Blood Angels, you can get enough of that through the lag stratagems and
Of course you can.
enhancements as well. Anyway, so
Painting your jump intercessors black, and then you're halfway there, surely. But yeah, so I'm gonna go to the event. I don't feel overly confident, but like sometimes you can go to an event and you don't really know what's gonna happen. So I'll just try and have fun. And we'll see. We'll see. Blood Angel's win rate is low at the moment as well. I didn't realize, and it was like someone was telling me yesterday it's like 42%. I was like, oh right, okay. I didn't actually realize it was that bad again.
So we're not due a new edition of 40k this year. If they follow the 3-year pattern, then the new edition will be middle of next year.
They will follow the 3-year pattern as much as all of us hate it.
So based on that, what are you thinking for what you want to do for the rest of the year in terms of what you might be picking up, what you might be expanding your army with?
Oh, cool. Yeah, good question. Hobby goals. Write in the chat what your hobby goals are as well, guys, and we'll pick up some of them to talk about. Who wants to go first?
You.
Me. My hobby goal for this year is to play a game of Eldar on stream with the new Eldar Codex. Not totally suck at Eldar, which I think will be hard because I haven't played any faction but Space Marines for a decade at this point.
Do you think that would be your first game with them, or do you think you'd want to play a game beforehand so you at least vaguely know what you're doing on the stream?
I want to play an Eldar player so they teach me all my mistakes as we play live, if that makes sense. That's what I was thinking. Get them to play Blood Angels, I'll teach them, so it'll be a learning game. So I would like to... But I think if the new codex comes out for Eldar, I will read the new codex, right?
Playing against your own army is always, and playing with one that you don't normally do, is a great way of learning the sort of strengths and weaknesses of things that you normally play against, and also seeing your own army through a different point of view. So I respect that. That's a good call.
What about you, Tony? Got any goals for this year?
Hobby goals this year. What would I like to do? I want to get my Arcs of Omen table. No, I want to get my boarding action table finished. I've got a load of terrain that I actually want to get properly painted up. But the other one that I'd really like to do is probably not for our normal audience, but my Warhammer Fantasy Battle Old World army.
Oh yeah, what army were you doing in Old World?
I was doing vampire counts.
Oh yeah.
He's getting all these random skeletons from all over the place. Remember?
I do remember now. Yeah.
Because it's already Legends when I started, so I thought it'd be a laugh. But I've been building all these cool units and models and stuff like that, and I just haven't got them painted. So my hobby goal for this year is to get my vampire skeleton horrible undead army painted up and properly on the table, because I don't like playing with unpainted miniatures. So although I've played a little bit just to sort of feel out and get the grasp of the rules and things, I don't care how effective it is, because at the moment, if you want those nerds that are following Old World at the moment, the absolute meta has been fairly fixed for a little while, and that's Pegasus Knights. Pegasus Knights are just phenomenal, but heavy monstrous cavalry is so much more powerful. Infantry doesn't really have a place, so naturally what I'm doing is building entirely around infantry.
Because you are going the anti-meta. Aradine has just come in with 5 gifted memberships. That's our first gifted memberships in the new year, dude.
Oh,
thank
Aradine.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you.
Always a star, mate. You know that.
So yeah, my goal for this year is to get my undead army actually painted up and on the table, because I've got to paint this that we did on the live stream at Christmas.
Oh yeah.
I've got to get the old black coat finished.
That's cool,
you got
man.
That glued together and solid and
yeah, it's all right. But I want to make a bit of a scenic base for it, because the heights are a bit all funky. So
is the base going to be like a big scenic base for the entire thing, and the horses and everything?
Well, interestingly, so this is the official size for the base for the black coach in Old World, and it's a lot wider
than the thing. Yeah, it's
than
like
the actual model is, because it's based on, this is the Warhammer Fantasy Battles black coach.
Yeah.
But since then, there's been a Age of Sigmar black coach, which is a significantly bigger miniature, which I found really interesting, because they're not a faction that you can. They're not. They're a Legends faction for Old World, and the Legends factions are models that factions that don't have new models. But they've decided to put the base size that fits the new black coach, not the one that existed when Fantasy Battles did.
Oh, weird.
So it's far too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some old milliput on there, and I'm just going to sculpt it so it's getting dragged through a graveyard.
Oh, that'd be
Very
pretty
nice.
cool.
Which would be quite cool.
I like the level of
there's been a
effort.
bit of a graveyard kind of theme to the army. I've been trying to go with like a swampy sort of graveyard.
Have you ever looked into the aesthetic or flavour or anything of the Forsaken faction from Warcraft or World of Warcraft?
Remember,
Because they
apart
got a
from I
lot
used to
of
play
weird
Warcraft
shit.
3 many years ago. That's all I know about the.
Okay, because it might be worth just like googling it and looking into it, because they got some crazy weird ass undead bullshit going on in that video game, and maybe taking some of that as inspiration could be good.
Do you know what? They probably originally took inspiration from Warhammer
From
Fantasy
Warhammer.
Battles.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me in the slightest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the whole theme for the army is this kind of like wet graveyard, dirty, muddy earth. All the wood and that's got sort of like that kind of Spanish moss, they call it. You know, the kind of hanging green moss from it. The wood will start turning green and this sort of thing. And I'm going to make extensive use of sort of my fancy enamel washes and things like that, just to try and, because I want to do it quick. But it's going to be. I've never done a Grimdark army. I've always thought Grimdark can look cool as long as it doesn't just look like slapped in oil paint, wiped it off, called it a day.
Yeah.
So you're going to do something that looks like it could have come out of a John Blanche picture.
Bingo.
Cool.
Did you get that John Blanche paint set?
Oh, the army painter one?
Yeah.
No, because I think army paints are terrible.
Okay. No, I just saw it advertised, and I remember you talking about John Blanche.
Yeah, well, I did get. This is the one I did get. This the Villainy Inks, which is the same kind of. There's only too many boxes because they're cool, but I've been finding use for it. So this Villainy Ink set were enamel inks that were done by the Grimdark Compendium people.
Oh, right, okay.
So I did buy those, and I really liked what I've used so far. I haven't reviewed them yet. And they've got a new set coming out in a couple of months, so I might get those as well. And I'm sort of leaning quite heavily on that for.
I watched a video guide for how to use them for the one that you got me for Christmas, Tony. So thank you very much for that. And it's very interesting the way and the sort of models that they've been using them on, and how and why.
Well, I've only played with them a little bit, and I've really liked them. So the things I got you for Christmas, I tried to buy you sort of like weird little tools that can save you a lot of time, fit into your normal painting things without much of a learning curve.
Yeah.
So like that pencil is fantastic, so useful, because all you do is, I'm going to highlight this. I've got some like black on my Death Company. We just drive your pencil. Boop, boop, boop. There you go. They're all highlighted now. Just drag it over the edge, and it looks like you've got lovely highlighted, chipped black armor and stuff.
Oh wow, okay.
Cool.
What?
The other one was a rust paint as well, which
the other one I got you was this, the Dirty Down stuff.
Yeah. And I saw the video from that Byron from what's his name?
It's a weird one because you warm it up. You got to keep it warm. It's actually started out life as an effect paint. It's how they make things look rusty in movies.
Okay.
But all you do is you warm it up, and then you slop it on something that's metal, and then leave it. And as it cools down, it will form rust all over it. But the thing about it is it's water based. So what you can do afterwards is get a wet brush and just sort of like warm it in. You can thin it off if you don't want it quite so rusty looking. Blend it over the edges. So I use it really heavily on things like any basing and things like that.
I was thinking it would be good for the boarding actions walls.
Yeah,
that's
so
true.
thin it right down and use it in like
spray that with a bunch of lead
places.
belcher and then rust it up and go from there.
Yeah, so I just tried to get you little techniquey things that I've found useful for making stuff look good with minimal effort.
Cool.
So a few people have some hobby goals in chat.
We want to hear yours, obviously.
I was going to say Diatome is going to win for once. It's a good goal to have.
All to do to win is keep playing.
Yeah, that's true.
It. Just keep playing.
It's like that bit from Finding Dory. Just keep swimming.
Yeah.
And
eventually, luck will find you.
Nurgle is going to pull the trigger on a Land Raider Redeemer and build and paint it. Land Raider Redeemers are pretty cool. We think they're going to last into the new edition as well. We think. We hope.
I think I'd be surprised if the Land Raider didn't last into the new edition, but whether the Land Raider Redeemer specifically would be more of a question.
And Highland
It'd
Phoenix
be
is going
interesting
to...
if they redid the Land Raider to keep in with the new Primaris scale of Space Marine. That's
Scale, yes, but if they got rid of the tank tracks and made it hover, then I'll be very upset.
Oh, it wouldn't be a Land Raider then. No,
Wouldn't be a Land
I
Raider,
totally agree.
it'd be a repulsor. Egypt, why are you going to sell 2 armies? I'm quite famous. I don't like my Custodies in 10th edition, right up until we got the Grotmus detachment, and suddenly I love my Custodies again.
So what was I actually didn't follow the Grotmus attachment for Custodians. Why did it make them good? Or why did it make you like them?
Well, I don't think it made them good, but what it did do was, my big complaint with the Custodies in 10th editions, they took all the things that made them interesting away.
Okay.
So effectively, they just slowed them all right down. Yeah, they're not 2 inches of movement off of basically everything.
Oh, I remember you saying the Dreadnoughts lost their movement, and that was like killer.
Well, they gave
for
it
them.
back in the Grotmus detachment.
Oh, cool.
So what they gave you was character Dreadnoughts, so you can give Dreadnoughts Warlord traits. And they gave all your Dreadnoughts plus 2 inches. So suddenly they actually can go across the board and you can make cool things with them.
Okay.
It's not the best detachment. It's not the most competitive detachment, but it did mean that my army of now became very dull and pointless. Suddenly is a bit more fun to play with again.
Oh, good.
There's a big difference between 8-inch movement on your Dreadnoughts and 6 inches.
Yeah, there is a big difference. It is for sure. And those Contemptor Dreadnoughts were kind of the backbone of some of the Custody lists.
And then suddenly
like.
they became completely pointless because you couldn't get them into combat.
Yeah. Do you know what's really funny is I saw a comment on like the Blood Angels Reddit, because I occasionally read Reddit, saying like, you know, when the Grotmus detachment came out, it was like someone actually wrote in their comment, they were like, this detachment looks like it was just made for the Blood Angels commander, and I'm like looking at the detachment going, I don't think I like this.
The Blood Angels Grotmus one.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't. Some people are saying it's quite good, and I just look at it and think, why would I take this over Lag?
Well, if you've got a crap load of units that have characters in them, then it is quite good, I guess. But I don't like running that many characters.
None of the characters are all that good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not a huge fan on running like 6 or 8 characters. Some people do it though, and some people do it effectively.
Yeah. I know some people who will take a character for every unit, more or less.
Yeah, that's not me. I'm too
cheap.
I like having some cheap units that just do actions or just, you know.
And I run a lot of tanks and things like that, which also don't get any benefit from it.
Yeah, me too.
Matthew Barrow, more kill team too. Need to kit bash some new marine models for my T. Yeah, kill team's something I've never got into.
I mean, it's very similar to just like boarding actions in a way, I would say.
I feel like I should like it because there's so much scope to make a cool little team and really go to town on the painting and modelling. But
see, I've identified why I don't like Kill Team compared to other games.
Why?
And the way I managed to identify it was by playing Star Wars Shatterpoint.
And
the difference is that in Kill Team and in boarding actions, things die just as easily as they do in any other 40 game. You could have like the first turn or two and bang, they're just falling, gone. Whereas in Shatterpoint, it's a heroic game that the models stay alive for the vast majority of the game and get wounded and get back up and get wounded and get back up and keep going and so forth. And for that sort of small scale, small focus army, I want them to be around most of the time. I've spent a lot of time and effort converting them, giving them character, giving them personality, customizing who and what they are and what their loadouts are and what they do. And for them to just die on a failed save when they got 1 wound each feels a bit shit, really.
Well, that's a good point.
You played any more Shatterpoint?
I haven't. No, I've picked up a couple more bits for it, but I haven't had any more games since then. So I should probably do that at some point. But to be honest, Star Wars Unlimited has taken over almost all of my sort of like physical gaming focus since it came out last year.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark.
What? Oh no.
I mean, I did buy you your first set of cards, though, right?
And you did suggest it, and I did say that I don't want to get into a collectible card game ever again, and you dragged me back into it, kicking and screaming. So it is completely your fault.
I was going to say, and now you are the master at Star Wars Unlimited.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm the master, but
you've got the best.
I'm reasonably practiced.
I was going to say you got the best tournament finishes and stuff.
I play a bit. I've made some new friends through it. I've travelled a fair bit, meeting people and playing it around the country. I'm enjoying it. So yeah, no regrets.
No, it is a good game. I like it as well.
Yeah, I like it. I don't. If I'm honest, I didn't like the addition to the mechanics in set 2. I
Yeah,
thought Smuggle and the other one that I keep forgetting,
capture.
were just not very interesting. They didn't add enough
Yeah.
to the game.
Set 2 put quite a few people off for similar reasons.
Yeah, I didn't like set 2. Set 3, I'm quite enjoying. I think that's got some really cool cards. And I think
Have you been through that pile of cards, by the way?
Sorry?
Have you been through that pile of cards at all?
I've started going through it, yeah. And I've been through my box. So what on my table behind me here is me going through all of my cards at the moment.
Hey, James.
Hey, James Gibb. Hello. How you doing?
You've missed most of the hobby resolution goal stuff that we've talked about a little bit, but that's all there.
What is your goal, James Gibb, for 2025 then?
James Gibb is the pioneer of the resolutions channel in the Discord, so he is all over this hobby goals.
He's all over in goals. It's good to make goals, man. It's good to have goals.
James is absolutely a luminary of our community. We value you a great deal, my friend.
Did you know? Because I made my wife do this the other night. I told her I was reading a study.
Is this PG-13?
Yeah, no, it's PG-13 for sure. I was reading this study from I think it's called the Dominican University of California. I don't know the university at all. I just read the study, and it said that they tested like 2 groups of people, like 100 people twice, and they said they made them make like goals and targets, and they said like the ones that actually physically wrote their goals down in a place that they would see the goals every day, like a post-it note on your monitor, for example, is a good example. They would be 42% more likely to hit said goals just because they were reminded of the goals every day.
That's fair. I do that sort of stuff, generally speaking, in my inbox for email, where I just flag things with labels and stuff. They're in my face every time I look at it, so I can appreciate that.
So I told my wife to write some goals on a post-it note, and after I made her do it, she was like, "Right, now will you fuck off with your positivity shit?" And I was like, "Okay, love, I'm going."
Was this on New Year's Eve or shortly?
No, this was like 2 days ago or something. Because I guess I was right. I was gonna be like, I've last year I feel like I finished maybe 1 unit of 40k. And I wanted to be like, right, I want to finish the Reavers, I want to finish the Outriders, I want to finish the Suppressors, and for the 2 minutes it takes me to write that down and stick it on my post-it note, if that improves my chance by 42%, it feels like I should do that.
Fair enough.
Because, like, Outriders and Suppressors have been terrible for years, so it's like the first time in years that it would be, like, worth actually...
I think Suppressors at the moment are pretty good.
Yeah. So I was like, I should write this down to actually finish these 2 units.
Wouldn't go so far as to say Reavers are good, but
well, Reavers,
I would say that they're not shit at the moment, which is better than they've been in a very long time, if ever.
The precision is good-ish, right?
Okay.
Well, I mean, I've got a tactics video coming out on it tomorrow over on BAC. There's a shameless plug.
I'd still rather take a unit of jump start intercessors than a unit of Reavers, all told, but it's at least slightly more of a consideration now than it used to be.
They're slightly better than they are, and there is a reason to use them for something other than just cannibalizing the masks, the helmets, because they make the best Death Company helmets.
Yeah, they do make good Death Company helmets. I mean, they make good helmets for anyone. I put one on like you said, that Chaplain on a bike. It's a pretty cool Chaplain helmet as well, honestly.
Yeah.
I do have a pile of models here in front of me that I'll get around to making one day, and is in fact these.
Oh, is that for your Lumineth army?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Because their version of Combat Patrol for Age of Sigmar in the new edition is called Spearhead, and it is reputedly, shockingly very good. And a unit of these sword Venari Blade Lords is the only unit in the Spearhead that I haven't already got separately. So I picked that up over.
So have you tried the 4th edition Age of Sigmar?
No, I haven't even bought the rulebook for it. I've still got the 3rd edition rulebook sitting on my shelf that I didn't play a single game with. So I've not been in a hurry to pick up and learn or play the rules at this point.
Cool. I've got the 2nd edition rulebook that I've sat on the shelf and haven't played a single game with. Does that count?
Hey.
I've got the 1st edition, the 2nd edition, and the 3rd edition rule books. But not only have I not played a game with, I've not painted any miniatures out of the box sets that I bought alongside those rule books. I bought the launch box for every edition of bloody Age of Sigmar up to the latest one, which I finally went, no, I'm not buying it.
Fair.
Um,
James, how long have you had your Reaver Titan for? That is a question that is worth.
Do you remember? It wasn't Cursed City. What was the Warhammer Quest game before that called?
Black
Blackstone Fortress?
thingy. Yeah, that's the one.
No, the fantasy one.
Oh,
Silver Tower. Silver Tower.
Right.
There was another. There was Silver Tower, and there was one other one. I don't remember what the second one is, but I actually built all the Silver Tower miniatures and painted like half of them, and then they were discontinuing the second one, and I bought it because I was like, oh, I think it was called Hammer. Maybe it was like Dungeons Under. It was like what are the names of Sigmar cities? Hammer.
Are you talking about Underworld?
No, before then.
So I don't know that. I missed Silver Tower, but I did get Blackstone Fortress, although I didn't get all the expansions, and I did get Cursed City.
I've heard Blackstone Fortress,
there was one
especially
in
with all the
between
expansions, is really good.
Blackstone Fortress, even without all the expansions, is really good. I've really enjoyed playing it.
Yeah.
I've got some beautiful models, but all of those sort of like narrative games that GW have done have had fantastic models.
That was it. Shadows over Hammerhall. That
does sound familiar now.
That was the one after Silver
Wasn't
Tower.
Harrenhal a place in Game of Thrones?
Hammerhall. I think it was the new city that the Sigmar Marines went to. Like they went from Altdorf to the new city called Hammerhall, and it was like it was basically the same because there was if you ever played Warhammer Online, there was dungeons under Altdorf, so this was basically like dungeons under Hammerhall. And I bought it like in a sale when the shop was like getting rid of them, and I kept it for like a year and then basically sold it for RP. So I was like, silly.
Have you had any joy with all the stuff you had listed on eBay recently, by the way?
Yeah, I sold my entire collection of the Star Wars RPG. It's gone. I didn't quite get what I wanted for it, but I got enough where I was happy.
Okay, that's good.
So it's one less thing in this room. It means that there's actually like a bit of space on one of these shelves behind me. So. I'm battling over if I'm selling my Star Wars Legion stuff because there's probably $500 of Star Wars Legion, and the thing is, I have the Star Wars card game that we like playing, and like I feel like we can play that on a live stream. Like we can put up a camera and we can actually play that, whereas I can't play Legion with anyone. And I already have Imperial Assault, which I love. And if I feel like if I was going to sit down and play a Star Wars board game, I'd play Imperial Assault. So I just need something to push me over. Like I need, and then I'll be like, yes, okay, I'm just going to sell Legion because I don't know when I'm playing.
Yeah, I was quite tempted to pick up Legion just because I like the models, and I think that they're cool. But actually, Shatterpoint is their one. If I was going to pick up a game for Star Wars,
I thought of that as well. And Shatterpoint's like 6 models, so I was like,
because there's hardly any models, so I've not got a lot of painting.
Yeah,
they're cool, so they look better on the shelf because they're a bit bigger.
Yeah. They're doing all the new current stuff which are out and cool at the moment. Like you got the Mando models and you've got Moff Gideon and all this sort of stuff.
So so I feel like you're talking me into I should just sell my Legion stuff.
I would like to get Shatterpoint. That's something that I would buy if I got the opportunity and saw it on a good deal. Yeah,
I have spent a lot of time making and painting Legion, and I've got 2 pretty fully painted armies. So it's like, but yeah, no,
I get you.
I haven't played Legion in like 5 years at this point, so it's like you should just sell it.
James says he got his Reaver Titan in February 2024, but didn't get around to working on it until December. That is a bit of a significant shame pile item, I must confess. So it'd be good to see you get that finished, my friend.
How much does a Reaver Titan actually cost?
It's 400 quid, is that what I say?
No. No, the Warhound Titan is about 500 quid. That's the smallest one.
I thought the Warhound was about 300, or am I on like
the
3 or 4 year old prices or something?
3 or 4 year old prices. The Warlord, you're looking at sort of 1100 quid, and the Reaver somewhere in the middle.
I remember that because the Warlord is like I could buy a Warlord Titan or I could buy a small car. So
yeah. Tough question.
I would really like to do the Reaver Titans. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for it.
So I've got my Titan Mojo and like Fever out the way by buying the Adeptus Titanicus scale ones, and they're really cool and they're
They are really
incredibly
cool, yeah.
detailed. So the Mars Pattern Reaver Titan body at the moment on Workshop website is £655.50, and that's just the body, no arms. The arms are another £86 each, and you need 3 of them.
I was going to say, it makes Leviathan arms look cheap, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Wow.
It's cool to have a
Yeah,
big
you're
project, though. I get it.
The Warhound without any arms is 440 quid, and the Titan without the Warlord without any arms is 1233.
Yes.
And you got to buy the arms and the heads on top of that as
And
well.
then you have
So
to
just-
give up a small portion of your home space to fit that thing in.
yeah.
I mean, it's a big old model.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would love to do one. One day I'm going to paint a real Titan. I just think it'd be so cool.
You'd find
But at the
someone.
same time, spending the better part of £1,000 on a single model,
Yeah.
that's a lot of
It's a
money.
chunk.
I know I own a Thunderhawk, and I know that is a ridiculous vehicle.
And
But
the Thunderhawk's on a sort of like a par with the Warhound when you get down to it. To be fair, the Porphyrian Knight Titan is on a par with the Warhound.
yeah, it's only slightly smaller.
Yeah.
I did look at them side by side because for a while they were more or less the same price.
Yeah.
But I just think the Reaver is so cool.
And iconic as well when you get right down
Absolutely
to it. The
iconic.
main battle Titan of the Titan Legions. Absolutely.
But I can't imagine my wife at any point going, "Yeah, go nuts, spend the better part of £1,000 on a Warhammer model."
Yeah. That's a job for when your kids leave home, I feel like.
That's a job for when I win the lottery, John. Right?
Okay. Or your kids leave home. Celebrate
I think
freedom.
my wife would be finding other things to be spending that money on.
That's true. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'd like a new 3D printer, and that's going to cost me a few £100 if I do get one of those.
Yeah.
This one I've got has been absolutely brilliant, but it's just too small.
Yeah, you've created a lot.
Didn't you say you had access to one through work as well, which was pretty?
Yeah, I've got a
tasty?
few at work here that I've got access to.
You actually have done a lot. Like, you've learned 3D modeling and everything using that printer.
That was that was my goal of last year, was to learn how to 3D model.
How are the models that you guys got for Christmas when they turned out? How are they? Are they any good?
Oh, they're very nice. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to paint them yet, but they've come out really quite cool,
Excellent.
and I'm very excited to get them painted up.
I understand they're all closely modelled on the relevant characters.
They're pretty close. You can see exactly who they are.
Did you get the same the Thing models? This is what you're talking about, right?
I got you both the same set.
Yeah, cool. It really confused the crap out of me because there was no note on the box, and it was like on the back of the business card. So I just opened the box and was like looking at them, going like, "This isn't 40K. What is this?" Well, and then like after like a minute, when I noticed there's a dog, I was like, "Oh right, it's the Thing. Cool. I like this."
Yeah,
thank you very
really
much for that.
Cool. I did actually this year kickstart. Not this year, the end of last year. I kickstarted the new Trench Crusade game.
Oh, that's what everybody's talking about online. I haven't really followed it.
The new what? Sorry.
Trench Crusade.
I have no idea what that is.
So it's ultra grim dark, and I'm not a huge, when it comes up storylines and stuff like that, a fan of it, and some of the religious imagery. But what really attracted me to it was, apart from some of the miniatures were really quite cool, was the guy who designed the gameplay mechanic is the same person who wrote Mordheim.
Okay.
All right, cool.
And
Mordheim had a really, really positive reputation.
Yeah, Mordheim is still my favourite game that Games Workshop have ever made to play. So when I saw that, hang on, this is the same game as.
So it's the same designer, or sorry,
same designer, same rules writer.
Okay.
So nobody would ever pretend that Mordheim was a super balanced tournament game, but it just felt so evocative of what it was trying to be.
Okay.
Interestingly, it's the favourite game for John Blanche as well. That's his favourite game. And there's a few other sort of people in that kind of it was just so well written as a game system, with the war bands that you had, with the kind of imagery, the John Blanche paintings for the for the buildings, stuff like that.
The aesthetic, the atmosphere, all of that.
It just works so tightly together. And Trench Crusade is quite similar. It's not as good, but it's again the art, the rule set, the miniatures are all very, very tightly linked together, and I feel like it could be quite a good game.
I've seen loads of people talking about it online. I hadn't heard much about it except that like it was the new hot thing and everybody was covering it, because I think even Valrak
getting really excited about it. Some people, people get a bit hyperbole, don't they?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the 40k kill. It's nothing like 40k. 40k is an army game, and this is a skirmish game for a start. But it does look wicked. It's got some very cool artwork. It's got some very cool looking miniatures, and it's got your John Blanche art. The gameplay is written by my favourite game designer. So there is some. I haven't even looked at the chat, but I know someone in the chat's going to be screaming that there's some controversy around around the game system, and there's some normal 2024 politics shit attached to it, and this sort of thing.
No, everybody's still talking about Titans. It's fine.
And the thing is that I know that there's some of that stuff that existed, but I didn't know anything about it when I saw the game. I looked at the game, I looked at the art, I looked at the rules, thought they looked cool, and I bought the product.
No, that's fair. So here's a dumb question.
And what there is going on in the community that is, I couldn't give a shit, because I'm going to paint some cool models and I'm going to play it with my mates.
Cool.
Yeah, and do you know what? If you enjoy the game, it's more power to you. What company's made it, or is it somebody we don't know?
It's somebody you won't know. It's a new company that's a group of people that have got together and made this.
Okay.
So an indie, essentially.
It's an indie game, yeah.
Some indie. One of my favorite all-time board games is an indie game, so there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And I kickstarted it, so.
Yeah.
Oh, I found when I went to the Star Wars events I went to down in Cardiff, I found a new board game on the shelf, which I had to buy, and I can't quite reach it because the cable on my headset isn't quite long enough to reach it. Fucking, I'm going to take my headset off. Back in a second.
How were you on the morning after the New Year's stream? Right. By the way, Tony, were you all good?
So, sorry.
Here is the game that I bought.
Oh, I like it.
Oh, cool.
And it is this game is killer. Alien on Board is for 3 to 10 players. Takes 15 minutes to play. Ages 14 and up. And the tagline is "It's already too late." A hilariously deadly party game about being hunted by an alien life form aboard a cramped cargo vessel in deep space. The object is simple: survive at any cost and remove the alien threat before it kills you all. Death comes quickly in the game, and 10 minutes later, you're all jumping back into play again. Some of the tactics in this include things like sealing off the bridge and jettisoning it, killing the alien and any crew who are inside, but that's okay because you're not in the bridge. So you therefore win. And they don't. And
that sounds
it's kind of fun.
Yeah, sometimes quick games are good. Why not?
I bought a game like that a little while ago, and I can't remember what it was called. It was very similar artwork. Like black and white imagery, lost in space kind of vibes, aliens, this sort of thing. I can't remember the name of the game, but that was quite fun.
So I'm going to take this to the guild meet and play it with some people and kill all my friends. Yeah, hopefully that'll be good.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, I know you've bought another Glorious Day in the Corp as well, haven't you, John?
Yeah, I still. Well, see, that's one of the reasons that I think I can probably sell the Star Wars stuff, because it's like I've got Glorious Day in the Core that is unopened. I'm half on board of selling my Thousand Suns as well now, because I've got an Eldar army, so I don't know if I need these Thousand Suns anymore now.
I mean, you've had them and not played them for ages, so yeah, I wouldn't shot you. Ticket to Ride is indeed a classic family game that a lot of people have played for years and still holds up today, so I totally get that. It's got a little roll-out sort of mouse mat kind of game board sort of thing for this thing, which is the spaceship that you're playing.
Oh, that's cool.
Escape the Dark Sector. That was the game I was trying to remember.
Oh yeah,
that's got quite a similar sort of like art style.
So yeah, I just got to a point like with the YouTube channel and how busy I was like, I just don't know if I need all these games. So keep the ones that you like, sell some of the ones you don't like, I guess.
I can appreciate that. As someone with stacks and stacks and stacks of games, I'm probably not going to play. The Judge Dredd miniatures game, I've got 2 versions of that. I haven't played either of them. Wolfenstein's up there. Devil May Cry's up there. I've got 3 different Resident Evil games up there that I haven't played any of. The Blade Runner RPGs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what was funny? I sold the Star Wars RPG stuff. I had actually played that, and I did actually like it, but it was just one too many games. And I think RPGs. I mean, I was going to say, don't take this the wrong way, Mark, because I feel like when we had no kids, we played RPGs and we really liked them because we could be like, we are going to spend the entire evening playing the RPG, and then since you have kids, it's like. You never even have 2 hours. You can't even make headway in 2 hours. Like, you don't even get out the intro room or the campaign sometimes in 2 hours.
I used to love D&D, but I like proper D. I like D&D when you spend 8 hours on a session.
Yeah.
I'm well aware of the position I'm in, being
and that's not something
kid-free and the liberties that allows me
compared
to otherwise. So, no.
I was going to say, when my kids are ready to spend 8 hours on RPG, that's when I can get back into RPGs.
And they will at some point. If you're interested in all this nerdy stuff, they'll pick up on it and they'll be like, "Daddy, what's Dungeons and Dragons?"
Oh yeah. Well, I've got Hero Quest too, so I think that's the first thing I'm going to do with the kids is Hero Quest. Or we'll make. I don't actually think all the models are like push fit or single parts, aren't they? So we'll paint the like, and it'll just be skeletons hopefully in Hero Quest. So what's that, like a coat of bone and then a dry brush, or just I don't even know if there's a white texture paint that would work, but I'm probably. Contrast paint. I could probably just slap a contrast paint on.
You could use that oil paint.
Contrast paint. Just do it.
Spray it white and then just slap that brown oil paint I got you and then wipe it off.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. 2 steps. I love it.
Is oil paint going to be safe for the little ones though?
Don't lick it when it's wet, Mark. I mean, don't get the child. Get the children. No, that would be dangerous. But once paint is dry, it's dry paint. Don't also You probably shouldn't let children chew the plastic miniatures anyway.
Yeah. We had lead miniatures when we were growing up and we survived okay.
Well, yeah, it didn't do us any harm at all.
There's nothing wrong with us whatsoever. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure those lead miniatures made it into your mouth, if for nothing else, to test that they were lead. Right?
Yeah.
At some point.
I'm about the fact that there's some paints that I very nearly bought that I changed my mind at the last second because I was reading the ingredients and it seems like cadmium and things like that, which were really and because I still have the habit of licking my paintbrush constantly when I'm painting.
Oh yeah. I
thought it would be dangerous to buy this paint.
Seems fair.
Cool.
But anyway, so serious hat on. There's nothing toxic about painted miniatures once they're painted, but no, you should be a little bit careful with the oil paint whilst you're painting them the same as any other paint. Non-toxic doesn't mean food safe.
Yeah,
it just means probably won't kill you.
Yeah, but yeah, once it's dry, it's just as durable as any other kind of paint, and it's no difference on that one.
We had. Have you ever seen those like wood fix kits? Where you can like make a little wooden model with like the cut wood. Yeah. We had one of those from like Amazon. It cost like £15 or whatnot, and I made it with Michael. And at one point, he dipped the paintbrush in. There was like a giant bit of paint on the top of the brush, and he just went like, I was like, God, no, Michael, don't. That's like wood. It's not even paint. It's like wood stain, right? And he just like must have he just ate 5 millimeters of it off the top of his brush, and I was like, all right. We'll see what happens if he has like a fucking grey shit tomorrow or something. But no, he was fine. But there's like I said to my friend, I was like, it's like you're in the Matrix, you see it happening, you're like, no. So yeah.
How old are they now?
Michael, well he was 2 when he did that. He's 3 now. So
and the other one?
She's 5 now. So 3 and 5. That's them both away to nursery this week, actually. So that's gonna be cool.
It'll be quiet.
Yeah, for a change. So my wife will be thankful. She said she actually got the washing done for once. Laundry for 4 people is a lot of work.
Mm. Yeah, but it is. I know laundry for the 3 of us is not work.
Cool. So
For the 2 of us, it's enough work. Thank you very much. I can't imagine 4 of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm just checking on the chat, but it's gone a little bit quiet.
I was going to say
The
it's
chat.
a bit quiet tonight.
It is quiet. I mean, we absolutely didn't publicise this at all.
No.
I did actually set it up.
Did you?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, we didn't share it
publicise
anywhere, but you set it up so people who are watching,
I was going to say there's subscribers
would see it.
would have seen it. Yeah.
Are you guys who are watching and listening to us doing any hobbying at the moment? If so, please let us know. We'd love to know what you're building or painting or scribbling or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say maybe what we should do is figure out if we're going to do hobby streams, figure out a schedule so people know when the hobby stream schedule is. That would be the way to do it, right?
Fuck it. Let's just when we feel like it, we'll just schedule it with a day's notice, and then
I do miss my old Monday night streams, but I sort of half mentioned it to my wife the other day that I'd like to go back to doing the Monday night streams, and the look that I got kind of implied that
we're not there yet. Yeah. Well, we'll figure something out, and if we figure out a more consistent live stream when we're all here and we're painting.
You still have an intensive toddler at the moment, right? So that figures.
Oh yeah, he's now gone back since we got back from holiday. He will not go to sleep. I mean, he's always been a bugger for not going to sleep on his own, but now he's gotten super sensitive, so he won't go to sleep in his own fucking bed at the moment. He'll only go to sleep in our bed.
Oh right, yeah.
Okay.
So it almost means at the moment that when you want to put him to bed, one of us has to go to bed with him.
Yeah. And you have to lie there for half an hour and then extract yourself from underneath them usually.
And the rest, hour and a half more like.
Ooh.
At least you get some reading done.
No, because if there's any light or movement in the room, he won't go to sleep. So you just have to lie there in the dark for an hour or so at 7 o'clock going, I'm bored now.
Do you know what? I've had that before where I've done that and then I've just ended up falling asleep and then I've woken up at
what normally happens, but then that's the end of your night.
Yeah, then you wake up at 11 o'clock and you're like, shit, I just lost my whole evening. What do I do now? Because the thing is, you feel to yourself, if you decide to stay up for a few hours, then the kid's going to wake up and you're going to get no sleep. So you're just damned if you do, damned if you don't. You just have to go to bed.
So you just end up going to bed.
Yeah.
And that's the end of that.
And that's your evening done. Beautiful. I feel your pain, Tony.
Yeah, that's our life at the moment.
It gets better, trust me.
Is it something that the kid's just going to grow out of, or
yeah,
do you
pretty
need
much.
to take steps to encourage
I'm
them
hoping he
out
grows
of it
out
or
of it,
something? Or...
He's at that sort of age where these sorts of things kind of happen.
Have you got?
He'll grow up fairly.
We got to a point where we've given them one of those little. What we've got is that Yoto story thing, right? I think you can get them.
I don't know what that is.
Well, just Google Yoto, YOTO space player. It costs £30, £40, and it's like a little. Basically, it's a cassette player with a speaker in it, but rather than cassettes, it takes credit cards.
I bet it does.
Well, they're just. Look, I'll show you.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, the screen-free audio platform for children.
Oh, James says he's where you want to be, Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is your kid playing Goths, James,
or
is he on a different?
Can you see
plan?
Yeah, I see him. Yeah.
They're just stories, man, and the kid puts it in like a credit card,
and
it just plays the story, and I guess the story's on the. They're like $5 each, and you get them in bundles.
Communicator, memory something.
Well, that might be quite, because I've got a little Alexa in his room that I just put sleep sounds or radio on.
Well, you get at some point they're so easy to change. It's just you just put it, the kid can change it themselves. So like you get to a point where like our kids put a story on, or they choose a story, and then after that story ends in half an hour, they go change it themselves, and then eventually they just go to sleep. So maybe you
26th
need
of
to.
Jan better be a weekend day.
I was going to say maybe that.
Oh, it's a Sunday. That's all right. Good. Because if you're going to do
I'm
that
going
in
to
an
look this
evening, that
thing
was
up.
not
So
going to happen.
chop all cards, 5 for 4 on all cards.
Yeah, I think you can get them cheaper on Amazon than buying them from the official website. But you obviously
They do a Yoto player and then they do a Yoto mini.
We've got the mini. I think it was $39.99, maybe. Might have gone up in price.
It's 60 quid at the moment, but I bet it comes up on offer.
The golden idea is to have something that the kid themselves can use rather than have you set it up and use it for them.
They just push the card in and they just swap their story. And I guess this, essentially it's just Audible books, I suppose.
I really missed the Apocalypse system that they did with D12s and stuff a couple of editions ago. I thought it was a really good system.
I've been trying to adapt that to play. I tried to adapt it to work in 9th, and it sort of worked, but it wasn't quite there.
Was that when they did the actual standalone Apocalypse book and stuff?
Yeah. Mark gave me his copy from 8th edition, and I used that to try and put a 9th edition version.
But yeah, we also take the Yoto like in the car as well. Like if we're going, like if we're going any distance in the car, Tony, they can, because our kids get travel sick, so they can listen to a story rather than try and like watch a screen or something like that when we're in the car.
Cool.
I'm gonna try and give this a go.
Yeah. You also get a card you can record yourself onto the card. So you could record yourself reading the story, and then the kid can put it in and hear your voice reading the story as well.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
You do it through their app.
Something you got into last year, Tony, also is still stuck with me, and I still see it on shelves and think, I really want to get into that, and don't really want to spend 100 quid on something I have no idea if I'm going to play, but Battletech still occasionally leaps out at me.
I do really still enjoy a bit of Alpha Strike. I don't bother with the full fat version because I think it takes too long to play, but if I had no kids again, then sure, the full fat version is great because it takes hours and hours and hours. It's very, very detailed. But what I like about the Alpha Strike is I can play it for half an hour, get a game in with a few mechs, some explosions occur, and that's just a quick fun game. And the miniatures are quite cool as well. Because I have played a little bit of that. That's one of the more pick up and play miniatures games that I like to.
Makes sense, especially
like the rules are so lightweight.
The printability of the mechs and the bases and everything as well. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'll send you some stuff after the chat if you want that I've purchased, and you can have a little look at how it works. Because you can buy all the rule books.
I do not need more temptation. Thank you. I appreciate it, but I do not need more reasons to buy another Mad Cat.
Cool. So we've been arrived for about 1:40. Do you want to go for a bit longer, or do you want to wrap it?
No, I think we should be looking at trying to roll up now because I don't know about you guys, but I've got this work done tonight.
Cool. No, that sounds good. Thanks.
So, how cold is it forecast to be where you are tonight, Tony? Just to wrap it up.
-2, I think. But what's that?
John?
It's probably going to be -5 or -6, but I think we're finally coming out of whatever this bad weather has been.
Okay.
So
you got -4 or -5 here in Birmingham
overnight
tonight.
Cool.
So
stay warm. Get the radiators on.
Exactly.
Thank you everybody that tuned in tonight. Leave a like on the stream. Leave a comment with your hobby goal if you like to.
Yeah. Thanks, Saradine, once again. You are truly
remember to subscribe responsibly and all that nonsense.
Yeah. And we'll see you guys next
you sent
time.
Me anyway, didn't you?
Guys, for this very chill evening.
You sent it anyway. Nice. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching.
Yeah. Have a good evening, everybody. Ta.